As the Biden administration today rolls out these new rules limiting certain American investments in certain Chinese tech sectors, has this department engaged on the diplomatic front to understand the possible reaction or retaliation from Beijing?
So this is actually an issue that came up in our meetings in Beijing when we had a back and forth, a very detailed back and forth with Chinese government officials, and one of the things that the then Chinese foreign minister objected to quite strenuously was reports that we would be imposing outbound investment controls. And I won't get into their objections in details other than to say that they objected to those as they have objected to our export controls and other measures that we have taken with respect to China. And the point that the Secretary made clear in those meetings is that the United States has taken and will continue to take whatever actions we believe are necessary to protect the national security of the United States.
Sure. I mean, Chinese officials here, the Chinese ambassador here said publicly that, this would be viewed as a provocation by the Chinese government. So have they previewed any potential responses in these recent conversations, either with the Secretary or more recent conversations?
Not that I'm aware of, but one of the things that we have made clear to them repeatedly in all of our engagements with them is that we will continue to say things and we will continue to do things. And by do things, I mean taking policy actions that they object to. But we will do that because we believe it is in the national security interest of the United States. And we have also made the point to them a number of times that we believe it's important that even though we will be taking these actions, just as they take policy actions that we don't agree with, we think it's still important that we have the ability to have conversations about our areas of disagreement so we can make sure that the relationship doesn't deteriorate, and so that we have the ability to manage through crises and manage through other situations.
North Korea is currently operating the Kaesong industrial complex, which blew up 3 years ago. And North Korea and China are working together to export products. As you know, that the machinery and product are under UN sanctions. Do you have any comment on that?
Only that we will continue to enforce our sanctions and impose new sanctions when necessary.
But the military uniforms produced here are being sent to Russia. How can you see this? Because they're military stuff.
So I'm not going to speak to it specifically other than to say that we will continue to enforce our sanctions. We will look for evidence of people who are invaded our sanctions. If necessary, we will tighten our sanctions, and we will crack down using all the tools available to us on anyone that evades our sanctions.
So you never say that the U.S. have additional sanctions regarding violations, North Korea, China, or Russia. Why not?
Because I don't make announcements from here before we have imposed a sanction. I don't like to preview anything that hasn't yet been imposed. So and that's true with respect to every country in the world.
Have you guys received a response from the Chinese side about the invitation you have extended for Wang Yi?
Again, as I've said before, I will let the Chinese government speak to their side of it. And,
it's your invitation.
And, I'm aware, and we spoke to the fact that we've invited them. We'll let them speak to acceptance of that invitation, but it is our full expectation, based on our conversations with them, that he will travel to the United States and that he will hold a meeting with Secretary Blinken.
Do you have any reason to believe that the expected actions from the administration restricting Chinese investment could be linked to this seemingly delay in them responding to this invite?
I don't know that there is any seeming delay. You're jumping to a conclusion that I have not made publicly. And my deferring to the Chinese government to speak to Chinese government matters does not in any way speak to that. Our full expectation is that he will attend and they will have a meeting.
And then one on Taiwan. The island has been reporting that there's been some large-scale Chinese Air Force incursions that have happened this week. What's state's reaction to that?
I won't speak to those specific reports other than that I will say we have always urged China not to take actions that would escalate cross-strait tensions.